Episode 529 of 360 Wrestling Fanatic. Gonna be talking about Impact Wrestling Turning Point, featuring title matches, including Deonna Purrazzo's last chance against Trinity for the Impact Knockouts Championship. In the main event, Will Ospreay taking on Eddie Edwards. And also, we'll be talking all about tonight's episodes of WWE Friday Night Smackdown, the go home before tomorrow's Crown Jewel Premium Live event, and tonight's episode of AEW Rampage. Right here, right now, 360 Wrestling Fanatic. Hello, Wrestling Fanatics. Welcome to 360 Wrestling Fanatic on this Friday night. And tonight we had 3 shows, about almost 6 hours of pro wrestling action to watch tonight. Kicking off with Impact Wrestling Turning Point, then WWE Friday Night Smackdown, and AEW Rampage. Had, like I said, a pretty big night for pro wrestling. And then tomorrow, noon p.m. Eastern, here in the United States anyway, we have the WWE Crown Jewel Premium Live event on Peacock and the WWE Network, depending where you are in the world. Without any further ado, though, let's get started with tonight's episode of 360 Wrestling Fanatic, episode 529. And we're going to be kicking off talking about Impact Wrestling's Turning Point, which was taped actually on October 27th. It took place at the Walker Activity Dome in Newcastle, England, as a part of Impact Wrestling's 2023 UK Invasion Tour. Our commentators tonight, Tom Hannafin and the Drama King, Matthew Raywalt, which you can, in case you missed it tonight for some reason, you can order the replay or just subscribe to Impact Plus, watch the replay at any time. Also, you could order it on Fight TV, and it is available on YouTube for Ultimate Insiders. First, we started things off with the countdown to Turning Point, and we have the return to Impact Wrestling of Grado, UK's own, teaming up with Michigan's own, the War Machine, Rhino, and they are victorious over the team of Mike DiVizio and Ryan Richards. Also, Leon Slater defeated Mark Haskins in a match that was for the North Wrestling Championship. And we have seen where Scott D'Amore on another show in the tour, came out and offered a contract to Leon Slater. So he will be coming on over to North America to work for Impact Wrestling full time. And I'm going to say I've seen a whole lot of them. I've seen a little bit though. And what I have seen of him, he is a very good worker in the ring. And definitely looking forward to seeing more of him in Impact Wrestling now that he is signed. And the main card of Turning Point, we have a very good tag team match kicking things off, actually. We have Eric Young and the Walking Weapon, Josh Alexander, two Canadian boys teaming up here to take on the team of Subculture, Flash Morgan Webster and Mark Andrews, with Danny Luna in their corner. And like I said, I thought this was a very good tag team match. It's not really a team that I would say is a likely team, but like I said, both Canadian. And I thought Tom Hannafin made a pretty good line on commentary tonight about this kind of being updated Team Canada 2023. And of course, during the night, they did talk about the return of TNA in 2024. And it is definitely kind of difficult to talk about the history of TNA without talking about Team Canada. Anyway, Eric Young and Josh Alexander get the win in here, defeating Subculture. Good match. I'll give it 3 out of 5 ring bells. And next up, we see the quintessential diva, Giselle Shaw, taking on Alex Windsor. Pretty good match here. I thought Tom Hannafin and Matthew Raywalt did a really good job on commentary, putting over the fact how before Giselle Shaw signed with Impact, she wrestled with Progress Wrestling and other promotions in the UK and feuded with Alex Windsor. So these two do have a past. And I thought it was good that they did bring that up, that they were talking about it on commentary. So if there were fans at home watching that weren't familiar that these two had history together, I thought they did a really good job of catching everyone up in case they did not know that. But again though, good match here. I'll give this one 2.5 out of 5 ring bells. Giselle Shaw getting the win. And next up, we have one half of the Rascals in action. Trey Miguel taking on Rich Swann. And I thought this was a pretty fun match. I don't know if I would say it was real great, but pretty good though. And I'll give this one 2.5 out of 5 ring bells. Rich Swann getting the win here. I do want to say that the UK crowd tonight, they're in Newcastle, England, just like Thursday night on Impact Wrestling, the crowd in Scotland. They were really into the action the whole show. And it's always been said how TNA / Impact Wrestling always had a big following there in the UK, in England, Scotland, Ireland, countries like that. And this was the first time in, about 6 years or so, they've been to the UK. Smaller venues, of course, than the last time they were there. But they have made it back to England. And I thought they had a pretty good crowd tonight. Obviously not in the biggest arena in England, but I thought they did have a good crowd, though. The crowd actually did make it kind of sound like it was actually a bigger size crowd than there was. And next up we have Knockouts action. Jordan Grace taking on representing Subculture, Danny Luna. Again, I thought this one was a pretty good match. Big fan of both of these knockouts, Jordan Grace and Danny Luna. Good match here. I'll give it 2 out of 5. Ring bells. And tag team match up next. The most professional wrestling gods, Moose and Brian Myers, taking on Frankie Kazarian and one half of the Motor City Machine Guns, the Impact Wrestling X Division champion, Chris Sabin. And again, I thought Tom Hannafin and Matt Raywalt did a really good job of bringing up the history between Frankie Kazarian and Chris Sabin. At one time in the early days of TNA, the NWA TNA Wednesday night pay-per-views, at the time Kazarian and Chris Sabin were both known as the Future respectively, and they had this match that was pretty hyped up at the time on the weekly pay-per-views, the Battle of the Futures, I believe they called it. I remember that match at the time. I was following the pay-per-views and everything, and that is one match in the early days of TNA, like I said, the NWA TNA days actually, that I was really looking forward to. So Tom Hannafin and Matt Raywalt really doing a good job on commentary tonight, bringing up some of the TNA history, as it will be back next month. Moose and Myers get the win here, though, and Moose pins Frankie Kazarian. Moose did not have the briefcase with him, but he is the holder of one of the Feast or Fired briefcases for the shot at the Impact World Championship, so he can get an Impact World title match anytime he wants. Of course, the Impact World Champion right now is the other half of the Motor City Machine Guns, Alex Shelley. And I thought, once again, I sound like a broken record, but I thought Tom and Matt did a good job of explaining the fact why Alex Shelley wasn't in here in this match tonight, since he will be defending the Impact World Championship this Thursday night on Impact, on the episode that will be airing. And next up, the Impact Wrestling Knockouts Championship is on the line. Trinity defending the championship against the Virtuosa Deonna Purrazzo. The third match between these two. Great, not just great knockouts, but probably two of the best women wrestlers in pro wrestling today, in my opinion. And this is also Deonna Purrazzo's last chance at the Impact Knockouts Championship while Trinity is champion. And once again, these two have a great match. I think these two have great chemistry in the ring together, and each time they work together, I think it's better than the last time. Really good match. Trinity is victorious though, defeating Deonna Purrazzo. Due to the stipulation, Deonna Purrazzo can no longer have a shot at the Impact Knockouts World Championship while Trinity is still champion. So still the Impact Knockouts champion, Trinity. Really great match. And like I said, Trinity, since she has debuted in Impact Wrestling, I think she has definitely improved and stepped her game up. Now, don't get me wrong, she was definitely good in the ring during her run in WWE, but I think since she has came to Impact, she has actually got even better. And definitely have been a big fan of what Trinity has been doing in Impact Wrestling. And, I don't know how I could have forgot this, but for this match, special referee, Impact Wrestling Hall of Famer, the first ever Impact Wrestling Knockouts champion, Gail Kim. Don't know how I forgot to mention that. After the match, Deonna Purrazzo, of course, upset for losing and not getting any more title shots against Trinity. She attacked Gail Kim, but Gail Kim, of course, turned it around though and celebrated with Trinity after the match. And now it is time for the main event of Impact Wrestling, Turning Point, the aerial assassin Will Ospreay taking on diehard Eddie Edwards. I expected this to be a great wrestling match. And let me just say this, in my opinion tonight, it definitely did not disappoint. I thought this was a great match. Definitely my pick for match of the night. Really good one here. Will Ospreay. I'm sure most people listening right now would probably agree with me. Definitely one of the best pro wrestlers in the world today. If you would disagree with that statement, that Will Ospreay is not one of the best in pro wrestling today, I don't even know if you can call yourself a wrestling fan. If you would actually disagree with that statement right there. I don't even know how people could come up with a top 5 or maybe even top 3 and not mention Will Ospreay. And also, Eddie Edwards has definitely been successful in both Ring of Honor and Impact Wrestling. Former Impact World Champion, former GHC champion in Pro Wrestling Noah. He brought up how he was the first foreigner to win that title. And also Will Ospreay bringing up the point that he was the first foreigner, Gaijin, to become the IWGP heavyweight champion in New Japan Pro Wrestling. Great main event. Will Ospreay getting the win, defeating Eddie Edwards here on Turning Point. And let me just say, 4 out of 5 ring bells. I'm actually pretty close to giving it 5 out of 5, but I think I'm just gonna go with 4.5 out of 5 ring bells for this one. Great though, and that was the match. And after, Will Ospreay cut a really good promo talking about TNA and how he was always a fan of it even before he got in the business. And which, like, to the point where Impact Wrestling always has had a big presence in the UK, especially more so during the TNA days. When they went on the UK tours, they always had big crowds. Of course, a lot of times bigger crowds than here in the United States. And always had really good shows when they went over to the UK. And this promo from Will Ospreay talking about the history of TNA, and I'm not saying that in 2024 that we're going to see Will Ospreay in TNA full time, because of course in March, I believe it is when his contract with New Japan Pro Wrestling expires. And again, I'm not saying we're going to probably see Will Ospreay in TNA full time, but I wouldn't be surprised if on occasion we do see him make appearances, maybe at some of the big pay-per-views, or maybe special episodes of Impact. We maybe could see him show up, make an appearance, or on Impact Plus specials, things like that. I definitely wouldn't be surprised if we do see Will Ospreay in the new TNA starting January 13th, 2024 at the Hard to Kill pay-per-view. So that was tonight's TNA Turning Point not live, but special event on Impact Plus tonight. I definitely recommend watching a replay of this in case you did not see it tonight. It's available on Impact Plus, and I really recommend checking out Impact Plus if you haven't yet. Even if you just get it for 1 month, if for some reason you don't like it, you can just cancel it. It's really good. It's got the Impact Plus specials every month, plus the pretty much whole NWA TNA, all the weekly pay-per-views. I think they've added all of them now. And almost, I want to say maybe up to about 2012, they have all the episodes of Impact, all the TNA pay-per-views. Very good. I enjoy Impact Plus, especially the Impact Plus specials they have on every month. They have one more left of 2023, which is Final Resolution next month. Before next month's before January's Hard to Kill, when TNA Total Nonstop Action makes its return to the pro wrestling world. And now let's go on over to Fox for WWE Friday Night Smackdown. And this is the go-home show before tomorrow night's, or, well, depends where you're watching. Here in the United States, it'll be tomorrow afternoon. But the Crown Jewel Premium Live event on Peacock and WWE Network. And we start things off with a face-to-face with the undisputed WWE Universal Champion, the Tribal Chief Roman Reigns, and being accompanied by Paul Heyman and his challenger for tomorrow, L.A. Knight. Yeah. And I have to admit, I am looking forward to the match, but I think Roman Reigns is going to retain in this one. Would I like to see L.A. Knight become the new Universal Champion? Like he would say, yeah, but I just don't really see it happening. But I will talk more about predictions and everything and the whole card tomorrow morning on Good Morning Wrestling Fans. And as for Smackdown, we have Kevin Owens defeating Austin Theory. Grayson Waller was on commentary for this one. Women's tag team action, Charlotte Flair and Shotzi Blackheart defeating the women's tag team champions, Chelsea Green and Piper Niven, in a non-title match. And we also have another face-to-face with John Cena and his Crown Jewel opponent, Solo Sikoa. And next up we have an old-fashioned Donnybrook, Pretty Deadly, defeating the Brawling Brutes, Ridge Holland and Butch. And in the main event, Bianca Belair defeated Bayley. And next up we go over to TNT for AEW Rampage. And we have Penta El Zero Miedo defeating El Hijo del Vikingo and Commander in a three-way match. Next up, we have Sky Blue defeating Marina Shafir. Daniel Garcia defeats Trent Beretta. And the Guns, who are the number one contenders for the Ring of Honor World Tag Team Championships, representing the Bullet Club Gold, defeat the Fallen Angel, Christopher Daniels and Matt Sydal. In case you haven't seen lately, Daniels and Sydal have been teaming on Ring of Honor, on Honor Club quite a bit as of late. So that was Friday night, our Friday night pro wrestling lineup. A little different. Had more this week to watch. We had Impact's Turning Point. We had Smackdown. We had Rampage. So overall, on this Friday night, I thought that there was definitely some good pro wrestling. I definitely enjoyed it. And once again, I recommend, in case you missed it, checking out the replay of Impact Wrestling Turning Point. Once again, you can subscribe to Impact Plus to watch it at any time, or you can order it on Fight TV and YouTube for Ultimate Insiders. And that is all for this episode of 360 Wrestling Fanatic, episode 529. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Remember, if you have any questions or comments or just want to say anything at all, also feel free to give your feedback and opinions on Impact Wrestling Turning Point, WWE Friday Night Smackdown, and AEW Rampage in the comment section, either right here on Spreaker, YouTube, or whichever podcast app or website you listen to on, if they have a comment section, which I'm sure most of them probably do. And once again, I'll be back tomorrow morning to preview tomorrow's WWE Crown Jewel. Once again, I do hope to have another new live episode of 360 Wrestling Fanatic, just like I am live right now. For some reason, I haven't mentioned that yet. I don't know why, but I am live right now. And we'll do plan on going live sometime tomorrow night, but most likely I'll probably wait till after Collision to talk about both shows. And so stay tuned for 360 Wrestling Fanatic tomorrow night. And I will talk to everyone tomorrow morning for the Saturday episode of Good Morning Wrestling Fans. But until then, though, I am Lance, and I am a wrestling fanatic.